What's up, everybody? I hope you are psyched as me for this TNA pay-per-view that we are getting January 19th. Now, that is a TNA exclusive pay-per-view, and the reason why I'm saying that is because uh, TNA Genesis has been part of the TNA brand even when they switched over to Impact Wrestling for I think from the beginning. Honestly, I think early 2000s, and it always had a uh, a special place in my heart when it came to TNA pay-per-views. It's part of like their top five pay-per-views, like Slammiversary, stuff pay-per-views in that tier level. But before we get into the whole TNA uh, Genesis 2025 pay-per-view, I wanted to let you guys know, first things first. Sorry for not putting as much content um, as before. I honestly will be dropping a video on the other channel that was originally for wrestling, but I had did a like split of the channels and have supplement reviews there. And that, if you head over there, that video is on that channel. And I'll leave the link in the description down below so you can get the gist behind everything, and so you guys can see a behind the scenes look of what I had to go through with YouTube and the reasoning behind splitting the channels. And that's why I started this new one. And I haven't been posting as much here just because I wanted to be careful before posting anything new. But now I got the go ahead, and I went through the proper channels basically to revamp everything. So sorry for the long intro, but now let's get into the TNA Genesis 2025 pay-per-view that will happen tomorrow, January 19th, 2025, as I stated earlier. So um, this pay-per-view, I'm gonna name all the matches. They're really not gonna be in any order, as they might be like shuffled up later, or possibly tonight, and they might decide to give it to us in different orders. But regardless, I am psyched for the TNA Genesis 2025 pay-per-view. Let's dive into the first match, or one of the matches that we will see at this pay-per-view. And we will get Jordynne Grace. She will be versing Tessa Blanchard. Now, this one is a very controversial match, and the reason behind that was because Tessa Blanchard, if you do not know her history with TNA, is kind of a difficult person to work with. Especially, I feel like she is the female version of CM Punk when it comes to these type of issues. And the reason behind that is because when she was in TNA and was holding the Women's Knockouts Championship title, she kind of held it captive because she felt a certain, uh, how you say, entitlement to it. And since she was representing the brand, and I believe at the time it was around COVID time, and she did have some matches in Mexico, and because she wasn't able to meet the TNA scheduling, and she was the title holder for the Women's Knockouts Championship title, they were forced to strip her of the title. They severed ties completely, and they had to take out another title, bring out a new reign a new champion, and they did like a whole tournament and everything. And then her title was mailed back to TNA, or Impact Wrestling at the time. So when she returned, not a lot of people knew she returned. I think it was like a handful, like Creative and maybe two wrestlers, including Jordynne Grace, because she was being plugged into the storyline with her. But coming back to this match, um, she had and her return to TNA. I feel like it has been at a perfect time where things are shifting, especially with the whole collaboration and cross promotional work that they're doing with WWE. So that is pretty dope. And we don't even need a title for this match. Like, Jordynne Grace and Tessa Blanchard have been doing a great job psyching us up and preparing us for this match. And for me, I'm thinking Tessa Blanchard is going to go over as Jordan Grace. From the looks of it, she's going to be heading to better pastures, as her contract should be up in a couple months, and she should be finishing up with TNA and headed over to NXT. Um, and it is what it is when it comes to that stuff. So, like I said, I got Tessa Blanchard winning this match, and Jordan Grace kind of like, falling back and like ending her time in TNA with multiple singles matches instead of basically wrestlers who she hasn't wrestled with and done storylines together, or she might write it out with Tessa Blanchard for the foreseeable future until she exits TNA. Now, the next match we will see uh, at this pay per view will be Josh Alexander versus Mike Santana. Now, this is another heated rivalry that we do not need a title for. Like, Mike Santana has been doing great as a singles competitor after returning to TNA wrestling, and I feel like he adds something special to the roster that nobody can really fill. And as a New Yorker, I feel like he brings that passionate, that street vibe, that hood mentality, and also kind of just that diversity. Because there's really not a lot of like that Puerto Rican or like Spanish wrestlers in TNA. We might have a couple, even in the female division as well. Like, we got the Burico Badass there, but it's kind of limited. But now with like Santana, it kind of brings a new light to the whole aspect of having another Latin wrestler in there. And the perfect person has been Josh Alexander to take on Mike Santana and put him over as a baby face, especially as after Josh Alexander turned heel after losing his championship title, and he just became more sour. And I feel like this match, I feel like honestly, Josh Alexander probably will pick up the win here. Even though Mike Santana has been on a roll, but I feel like he needs to take this L so they can have one more match to finish up the rivalry. But you never know when it comes to this match. But I mean these storylines. But for this match, I got Josh Alexander winning here over Mike Santana. Now, the next match that we will see at this pay per view will be for the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championship titles. Now, we got Danny Luna and Jody Threat holding the titles, and they will be taking on Ash by Elegance, aka Dana Brooke, and her new protege that goes by uh, Heth by Elegance, which is a play on Ash by Elegance. Kind of a little cheesy, but protege to Dana Brooke. So I feel like that's great for Dana Brooke. It kind of uplifts her and puts her on another tier, especially when it comes to her promoting herself and coming out of that WWE shadow. Because sometimes you do not get as much credit as as a talent coming out of the WWE just because you were at that high level. But after she left, you got to think about it. She was, I think, the last 24/7 champion before Nikki Cross, and then Nikki Cross kind of threw it to the side and dumped it in the garbage, which kind of didn't feel right to me because Dana Brooke tried so hard to elevate that title, even though it was just like um, a basically something like a trophy for somebody to have around. They try to transform it into the hardcore title, which it wasn't, and that's something that I have an issue for us to talk about for later down the road because the actual new hardcore champion is, I believe, Trevor Scott or Travis Scott. Sorry about that, little brain fog there, but he's a rapper, not a wrestler. So I don't know why he's carrying this belt over, but whatever. WWE is branching out to social media and influencers, so it is what it is. But coming back to this match, I feel like it's time for Ash by Elegance and um, by Elegance to get some championship gold here in TNA and they will become the new TNA Women's World Knockouts Champion or Tag Team Champions for this pay-per-view, for this TNA Genesis pay-per-view. Now, the next match that we will see here is for the X Division Championship title. Now, we got Moose holding this championship title, and he will be taking on Ace Austin. And I feel like this is something that is great for Ace Austin to bounce back from in the set or jump into, thinking about it. Um, Trying to pick the perfect words just because Chris Bay got injured and they were doing so great as a tag team, whether they had the titles or they didn't. They were just improving month by month and giving us fire matches, whether it's on a weekly basis or at a pay-per-view pre-show or during the, anywhere on the card, honestly. So now that Ace Austin and Chris Bay were both X Division um, title holders or champions in the past, it just feels right for him to jump into this role and verse Moose. Now Moose has elevated the title as he was the previously the men's TNA champion. So him coming down to a lower title kind of elevated it in the sense of former top champion became a lower tier champion in the company, but is elevating it as well. You can compare it to like a U.S. title or an intercontinental title for TNA. And the fresh thing about it is that the X Division Championship title can be used as an option C in the sense of if you want a title shot, then you can hand over that title, the X Division title, and call it option C, and relinquish it, but you get that title shot and potentially become the new TNA World Champion. Now, for me, I feel like that is perfect, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because Ace Austin has already declared, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago, or close to a month, that he wants to be the champion and a TNA champion and represent the TNA brand. So he might choose that option, and I'm thinking he will be Moose for the X Division Championship title, and then use option C to get his World Championship title match with Nick Nemeth, aka Dolph Ziggler, who is the title holder at the moment. Now, moving on, we will get the TNA Knockouts World Championship title, uh, which is Marta Slamovich, who is holding the title. She'll be taking on Rosemary. Now, there is a um, stipulation to this match, and they called it a Clock Orange House of Fun match, but basically, House of Fun, mirrors, a whole bunch of stuff, basically making it more creepy and catering to Rosemary more than Masha Slamovich. Now, for me, I do not mind. I kind of like it when they add something extra to the title matches, especially the top tier titles. So for me, my thoughts on this match, I would honestly go with Masha Slamovich retaining the title, as we just saw her on NXT scouting for a new opponent. Aside from her having to defend the title at this TNA Genesis pay-per-view. So from the looks of it, she'll have it for the next couple months, possibly drop it towards the end of the summer after, they do a lot of cross promotional work with NXT. And also they probably will have some other things for us in 2025. And I just want that TNA WWE pay-per-view because that would be so fire. So to reiterate, I'm going to take. I got Masha Slamovich winning this match against Rosemary, and it'll probably be something that we wouldn't think would happen. Because remember, TNA is one of those companies that will shock us when it comes to these matches. So let's move on to the next match. So I'm rambling a little bit because I was sipping on this Woo Energy right here. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm in the fitness realm, and I like energy drinks, and pre-workout supplements, and this is Ric Flair's energy drink, and it's a nootropic as well. Got a little bit of mushrooms, lion's mane, and mushroom blend. We'll review on this on the other channel that you guys can follow me, but it tastes pretty darn good. And also, like, they have variety of flavors, so uh, follow me on the other channel, and you guys will find out which one is the top flavor, and I'll redirect you to where you can pick it up. But coming back to this pay-per-view, we are the next match we will see at this pay-per-view is for the TNA World Tag Team Championship titles for the men's division. Now, this is a dream match in the sense that we will have the Hardys, who are holding the titles, defending them against the Rascals, Trey Miguel, and Zachary Wentz. So, for me, I feel like this is the last hurrah for the Hardys in the sense of them trying to continue their tag team title reign here in TNA and then possibly ending their careers in WWE. So they're doing as much as they can here in TNA and will probably face every tag team here in TNA until they drop the titles and their contract is done with TNA. So again, I got the Hardys winning this one, but it will not be an easy match. Now, the last match that we will see at this pay-per-view is for the TNA World Championship title, and it is Nick Namath, aka Dolph Ziggler. He will be taking on Joe Hendry. Now, this is something that I've been debating on when it came to making my decision on who is going to win and potentially, uh, elevate the brand now to the next level. Now, Nick Namath did sign a new contract, but the contract doesn't they didn't specify in the sense of it being a year, 6 months, 3 months, whatever. It could just be something that he's trying to extend, like maybe an extension to finish up with TNA. Because for me, if I'm looking and well, let me just get before I get into the whole aspect of it. I want to talk about Joe Henry because Joe Henry has been doing so much. He's been everywhere, multiple countries, and also doing. I think he's the first ever wrestler to do, to ever have and sign a contract with WWE and slash NXT and TNA as well. We thought he did finish up last year with TNA, but no, he is going to stay around with TNA, but also with NXT as well. And my thought process when it came to this, like at least trying to make a prediction, was number one, Dolph Ziggler signed an extension, and then we got Joe Henry's contract coming to an end. And for me, it's like maybe the last hurrah for Joe Hendry would be, hey, we give him the title. We're gonna do cross promotional work. Maybe we could sign a new one, and he could continue to have the dual contract with WWE and slash NXT and TNA, and we'll have him as our champion, and then he will promote the brand on both shows. So that was the way I looked at it for Joe Henry's side. But if we're looking at it through Nick Namath's side, maybe if his contract is longer, then hey, I'm just gonna finish up with Joe Henry, drop the title, do a rematch, lose again, and then go and then we go our separate ways, and probably he'll go to Japan or Mexico or wherever he decides to go afterwards. But if he's here for the long haul, then it wouldn't make sense to put Joe Hendry over if Joe Henry's going to bounce. So that's why I was like, it's a 50-50 when it comes to this because of the simple fact that we don't know if the contracts are going to go farther than this pay-per-view, especially for Joe Henry or for Nick Namath. Thinking about it now, because a contract could be extended 1 day, 1 month, 1 year. You never know. So until that information is released, then potentially we could have a better decision and lean one way or another. But regardless, both wrestlers have been doing great work in TNA, and I feel like Nick Namath has bring a new look and a new aspect to this TNA championship title. So with that, guys, that is all the matches that we will see at this pay-per-view. And remember, we do have a 0 hour from 7 to 8 p.m. that is free on YouTube, and will give you all the storylines and all the history behind well, they'll go back possibly a month or two, depending on how long the storyline is for each match. And then you can get a refresher course or like a quick glimpse into what to expect for each match before the pay-per-view starts. And like always, I will drop links down below where you can find this pay-per-view. And also you can watch it on the TNA Plus app. I think it's pretty cheap, like 10, 12 bucks. I'm not really sure. I haven't checked it in the last month, but previously I think it was 10 bucks. If you subscribe to their TNA Plus app, and also you can see previous matches dating back to the beginning. And also you can watch this on Triller if you want to just watch this pay-per-view. It's pretty cheap compared to other prices from other companies. So I'm gonna give you various options on where to find it. And with that, I will leave you and catch you on the next wrestling video.